Welcome back, Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. As we've been going over and analyzing the Batman trailer over and over, I really started to wonder, why didn't they show Paul Dano's face as the Riddler? Well, let me show you what I mean. There's this person in the diner with the Riddler latte. The cops arrest him. And this is pretty clearly Paul Dano, right? It looks like him in this other glimpse from the side. In our Easter eggs video, I theorized that, like Joker, Loki, and so many other villains, the Riddler actually wanted to be captured on purpose. In this case, to bring him closer into contact with the Batman. In the other scenes with the Riddler show him in his full mask and glasses, which does give him this incredibly creepy, mysterious look. But still, IMDb has Paul Dano listed as playing a character named Edward Nashton, and in the comics, the Riddler's real name is Edward Nygma. So why the change? Is it because having a riddle-spinning villain named Enigma was a little too goofy for this dark take on Batman?
But you can call me the Riddler.
Or it could be that the identity of the Riddler is maybe not so cut and dry. After all, if we're going to have a villain whose MO is to create puzzles for the Batman, then why make the Riddler's identity so easy for the audience to solve? Why be so careful to cut off this shot before we can see a single pixel of the prisoner's face? We can kind of see a reflection here, maybe a guy with glasses, but it's really hard to tell. So this got me wondering about the other cast members in the movie and who else could be in this prison jumpsuit. And one name really jumped out at me. Irish actor Barry Keoghan. He's most famous for his breakout role in Dunkirk, but he's about to play a major role as Druig in the Eternals. Now, IMDb has him listed as playing Stanley Merkel. In the comics, Merkel was Jim Gordon's first partner, so it does make sense for the character to be in this movie. But it's weird we haven't even seen a flash of his face in the trailers, right? After all, the guy is about to be in a blockbuster Marvel movie, so you'd think they would at least show us a glimpse. Unless this was him in the prison. So I'm going to offer up a couple of theories on this. One, that this is not Paul Dano in the prison. This is some other felon that the Batman is asking for advice. Now notice how we hear the Riddler's voice.
I've been trying to reach you.
But this could be audio played from another part of the movie, like on a phone call.
Batman. B-A-T-M-A-N.
The trailer suggests that Paul Dano as the Riddler was caught on purpose to get close to Batman, but this is exactly like Joker in Dark Knight. I don't think that Matt Reeves and this new creative team would repeat all of the beats from such a classic movie, even though Dark Knight did lift pretty liberally from Batman '89.
Batman, I have taken off my makeup. Let's see if you can take off yours.
Batman must take off his mask and turn himself in.
So if this isn't Paul Dano's Riddler getting himself captured on purpose, maybe it's another felon the Batman is locked up. Remember, this is year 2 of Batman's career. In year 1, he earned the trust of the police and made a name for himself beating up street thugs. All of that's going to be covered in an HBO Max prequel series. But maybe in year 1, this version of Batman fought some of his rogues gallery from the comics. So in the comic book The Long Halloween, Batman is trying to catch a serial killer who only attacks on holidays. So he frequently visits an Arkham inmate called the Calendar Man.
Hey, welcome to TGI Friday. Oh my God, it's Calendar Man! Right.
So this could be some low-level rogues gallery villain like that. Or let's have some more fun. Maybe this gate rolls up to reveal a character with half their face scarred up and we see a new version of Two-Face. And if I may, I would like to go on a small rant here about Two-Face in movies. Dear Hollywood, please stop pairing Two-Face with other villains in Batman movies. First Riddler, then the Joker. Two-Face deserves his own movie. Very few Batman villains have good origin stories. It's always, oh, I was a smart person and I was wronged in some way by society. But Harvey Dent has a great origin story, and it's actually personal to Bruce. Harvey Dent was Bruce Wayne's best friend. I mean, how many actual friends does Batman have? None. He has mentors, co-workers, a servant, an endless line of wards, and other superheroes who he doesn't even trust. But Harvey was his best friend with the same noble goals, to clean up Gotham. His story, being corrupted by his darker half, is a perfect mirror to Batman's, and it deserves its own film. And you know, Billy D. Williams played Harvey Dent in Batman '89, and they were going to set him up for his own movie before they recast him with Tommy Lee Jones and turned him into a cartoon character.
Blind, stupid, simple, doodah, clueless.
Anyways, back to this guy in prison. Kevin Powers on Twitter suggested that this could be the Joker, which is a theory that I love and it's a lot of fun. Barry Keoghan would be a fantastic Joker. Batman visiting Joker in prison for advice would be like Clarice asking Hannibal Lecter's help apprehending Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. And this would be a terrific plot for that prequel series, if the show was actually focusing on Batman. But it's really going to focus on the street-level cops in Batman's first year. So I don't think they would just throw the Joker aside for a scene like this, do you? They're going to want to build him up and introduce him in a big way, but it would make a lot of sense for Barry Keoghan to be featured in this HBO Max series. After all, if he is Stanley Merkel, then he's Gordon's first partner, showing the new detective the ropes in a corrupt Gotham City. And this is half of the narrative in Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli's classic comic Batman Year One, where a corrupt cop named Flash tries to get Gordon to accept bribes. And you know, I am excited to see a younger Batman, but I'm really glad we're not going to see the origin again. There's only so many times we can see the pearls. The mugging scene also reminds me of my own mortality. I mean, I may not be a mugger with a pearl obsession who does me in, but tomorrow is not a promise. It really makes me think about what I would leave behind for the people I love, and really so should you. If you have a family that relies on your income, then you need life insurance. Now look, I know choosing insurance policy seems weird and complicated, but that's why I recommend Policy Genius, the sponsor of this video. It's very easy to use. Head over to policygenius.com/screencrush to get started. In just a few minutes, you can work out how much coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to get your best price. Policy Genius is not an insurance company. They help you to compare quotes from more than a dozen of the top insurers all in one place. It's their job to work with different insurance companies to find the best rates for you. And they handle all of the paperwork and applications for free. You could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. And you can save $1,300 or more per year by using Policy Genius to compare your life insurance policies. Eligible applicants can get covered in as little as a week. Remember what Jack Napier said.
Think about the future.
And don't put this off till you're older, because life insurance is way cheaper when you're still young. Get a good rate now and lock it in for decades. So head over to policygenius.com/screencrush to get started right now. Okay, back to the trailer. Let me throw out another theory that I think is the most likely. This movie seems like it's going to be based in part on the great New 52 Batman comic, The Court of Owls. In this series, Bruce finds out that Gotham City has been secretly run by an undercover criminal organization called the Court of Owls for decades. Spoiler alert, they also set up a mayoral candidate named Lincoln Marsh to be their proxy, and they also led Lincoln to believe that he was the second son of Thomas Wayne, who he abandoned in an orphanage. Now, let's say that the movie roughly followed this template. Maybe Edward Neacham, Paul Dano's character, is another proxy like Lincoln Marsh, a dummy set up by the Court of Owls to distract from their existence. So Paul Dano thinks that he is the other son of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Matt Reeves said that the movie's going to show Bruce reckoning with his parents possibly being involved in a type of corruption.
So you start to see that as it starts to describe this epic history of corruption in Gotham, that you start to understand, well, where did my family sit in that?
So maybe their big sin, the sins of my father as we see on this riddle, is the big sin that Thomas and Martha abandoned their baby in this orphanage. And the Court of Owls told Edward Meacham that he was the long-lost son, the rightful heir to the Wayne fortune. Then this person in the jail could actually be Paul Dano, but while he's caught, the Riddler's crimes continue. So he's not the real Riddler, he's only working for the real Riddler. So who is the real Riddler? Who is hiding in plain sight? Officer Stanley Merkel, played by Barry Keoghan. Remember this riddle?
What's black and blue and dead all over?
In our Easter egg video, I theorized that he was talking about Black Batman and Blue Police. Now this could also have been a clue that he took over the identity of a dead policeman, the real Stanley Merkel, because he's dead all over. And the previous trailer featured lots of hints about Justice being blind. When Justice is blind, it's supposed to be fair, but the flip side of this is that Justice is blind to the plight of the underclass and the working poor. In this case, it can refer to Bruce Wayne being blinded to his parents' sin, and the existence of his real brother, Stanley Merkel, aka Thomas Wayne Jr. Now, in the comics, it's not revealed if Lincoln Marsh was ever actually Batman's brother, which might remind you of another possible long-lost brother to Batman, Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. That movie clearly established that Bruce Wayne was the chosen son to inherit the Wayne fortune. While Arthur Fleck may have been the product of an affair, or his mother might have imagined her entire relationship with Thomas, the point is that we will never know, because corrupt men like that version of Thomas Wayne will always own the truth. They can pay to rewrite the past however they want. Arthur Fleck represents the millions of oppressed people whose heritages are lost forever because they were too poor to matter. And that theme is carried through in this movie, which seems like it's about Bruce learning about a corrupt ruling class in Gotham City. Bruce and Joker were brothers because they represented these two sides of Gotham, the rich and the poor. Now, if this version of the Batman were brothers with the movie's villain, it could show they represent two ways to find justice: working with the law like Batman and not killing, or working outside the law and going on a murder spree, deciding who lives and dies like the Riddler. Or maybe Barry Keoghan could end up being the villain of the prequel series, and maybe he believes that he is the real Thomas Wayne Jr., the heir to the Wayne fortune. So he commits some corrupt activities as a police officer, but he's apprehended and placed in jail. But then the Riddler's crimes are very similar to whatever crime Stanley Merkel commits, so Batman goes to see him in prison. But our own Matt Singer offered up a more simple, elegant solution. Maybe this inmate just doesn't have a head. Let me know your thoughts and theories down in the comments or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.